Hello, thank you for watching our presentation. Our group will be talking about shared services and their relation to ERP systems. Our group is composed of Jeffrey, Ryan, Eric, and myself, Carla. We'll start by talking about what shared services are. So basically, shared services are when a company decides to centralize and consolidate business functions that were previously separate. And these functions include finance, include purchasing, inventory, payroll, hiring, information technology, warehousing, accounting, etc. Another way to look at shared services is to see them as a form of internal outsourcing, where one unit decides to provide services to other business units to make sure processes are streamlined throughout the organization. And shared services has slowly been gaining popularity. According to Mark Henricks in The Entrepreneur, it's one of the hottest trends. And in 2011, 89% of executives believed that moving towards shared services was a good strategic move. Now we'll talk about how shared services relate to ERP. As we've talked about before, and as we've learned in class, ERP systems are used by organizations to manage the business functions within a centralized and integrated system. And so ERP systems basically provide a single database where the information can be stored, can be collected, and used for reporting later on. And the selection of the right ERP solution and software platform is very important, and it varies from business to business because a global company will want a different software than a local small business. Now let's talk about some of the key features that Oracle is using whenever it implements shared services. So some of the features are standardization of business processes across multiple business units. It also tries to centralize and consolidate common data, and that includes like human resources data, finance data, procurement data. It also tries to automate transactions. So for instance, in accounting, transactions can be automated, and that saves time and that saves money. Additionally, it tries to provide a scalable software platform where if the business grows, the software can grow with the business. Additionally, it provides automated risk management and fraud and error detection. Now I'll let Jeffrey take over.
So let's look at why shared services is important to the topic of ERP. Well, it really exemplifies a business operating model where an ERP system can create huge benefits across the organization. I like to argue that a true shared services requires an effective ERP, whether the company is choosing a best-in-class, a best-in-breed solution, whether it's an on-premise or a cloud, or a hybrid solution. It doesn't change that an ERP model at its core is a centralized, standardized way to integrate and streamline your company's data across its functions. And of course, the goal of shared services is to consolidate your cross-functional business operations. So really, an ERP system, I think of it as the technology or the tool in which shared services will be able to function and be managed. So like the business requirement is shared services, and then the ERP system is the technology to support it. So the core ERP modules, in fact, offered are based on business ops that are shared across the organization, like finance and HR and procurement, as my teammates have described. So you can't really talk about shared services without ERP in my mind, and vice versa, because the goal of shared services process and the ERP systems are the same. The need for shared services will drive the choice of an ERP system. I think some companies may put the cart before the horse and they look at an ERP system and then try to mold their business processes to fit it. And I really think it should be the other way around. You build the processes that are most critical to your organization, and then you can go find an ERP system or a combination of offerings that do fit it. So what do we need to look at? We need to look at how unique are the business requirements. Do they warrant customization? That'll help you understand the level of centralization that you're going to need for both your shared services model and your ERP systems, as well as what's the level of standardization. So are you willing and wanting to consolidate your services and technologies? Sometimes I feel like companies want to realize the benefits of a shared services organization, but they're not willing to go through the change management and the change in processes, technologies to make that organizational shift. And lastly, what are these benefits that shared services will reap from an effective ERP system? Well, they align very closely with the top priorities of ERP to eliminate redundancies through integrating your systems, to enhance your productivity, due to streamlined operations and information. And of course, you've also created better standards and tools to help with the control and compliance, reporting, and even the support of those processes, not to mention data integrity and improved enterprise visibility into the data of your shared services organization.
Hello, I'm Ryan Richmond with Group G, and I will be spending a little bit of time walking through some business reasons why an organization may want to investigate in a shared services concept. So the primary reason is that they want to capture some kind of cost savings. So there are some efficiency improvements that can be gained through the shared services model. So the idea is that many maybe different sites or departments will be performing similar tasks, and the effort will be to standardize and then centralize those tasks. So some of the activities that could benefit from this type of shared services model are human resources, finance, and marketing, because they have similar tasks that are often performed at different locations or in different functional areas that ideally can benefit from this centralized model of service sharing. So this should not happen in a vacuum, and certainly if a business is working with their ERP partner, it's ideal to bring them on board and discuss the goal before the process improvements are implemented. So with the coordination of the ERP partner, a business can look at their current state on how all of these different tasks that are somewhat similar are being performed at different locations or in different departments, map that, and then that will be their current state, and then they will create a future state of how they foresee those tasks being performed under the shared services model. So there are efficiency improvements through automation and standardization, but there could also be a headcount reduction where you could move employees into more value add opportunities because they will not be doing redundant tasks that can now be performed at one location. There could also be some brick and mortar benefits where the footprint is reduced, whether you can eliminate or reduce the size of a department or office space, and then certainly if each functional area or department has some type of server or hardware, that can be reduced. So some areas where these different tasks that can be standardized take place are often found in finance, human resources, and procurement, because these types of functions offer room for consolidation, standardization, and then an automation of these tasks, which will further reduce the human error. So as I mentioned, a business should reach out to their ERP partner, because without an ERP system, this type of shared services model is really difficult to implement. And the ERP system will now allow for these, the aggregation of large amounts of data and transactions, and can be utilized to harness the automation and to minimize human interaction, not to eliminate the people, but to eliminate the human error from the manual transactions that are prone to error. A business will mature and will try to, with their ERP system, harmonize their processes and reduce variation across the organizations. It will work to improve its information consistency now with the ERP shared services model, and gain transparency of costs. Through consolidation, the business will make efforts to reduce infrastructure, because now there is one centralized location and multiple resources should be reduced. And then through that same effort, maintenance for both hardware and for software updating should greatly be reduced. Thank you. That is all I have to share on the business case for shared services model. I appreciate your time.
Hello, Professor Bradford. This is Eric with Group G. I'm going to talk about IT and the HR module, which individually are considered to be shared services due to the fact that they are being accessed by so many different business units. But in this example, I'm going to talk about a real experience that or may I say a project that I was part of that included the Illusion ERP, which is catered towards the higher ed. And even in North Carolina systems, a lot of universities are actually using that. And the Microsoft Active Directory server, we were able to integrate the ERP module with the Active Directory. As you can see, the users will come in and automatically provisioned, so to speak. As you're aware, identity and access management is really a hot topic nowadays, and it is going to bridge across the IT world and the human resources and other business units that actually depend on the shared database, that is ERP database, that normally serves as the authoritative source of data. HR manages the entry and exit when it comes to the employees, and all these processes needs to be handled by them. IT should be out of that business, and we should be more like a reactive process than being proactive, or should I say be looked upon as the authoritative source. To the next module, I put together a high-level Visio diagram. So as you can see, the new hires are entering the system, HR puts in the data is stored in the HR module, and that hasn't changed from the past. Well, what has changed is we have taken away the human factors by introducing the identity and access management engine, which is constantly reading off of the data which is stored in the shared database. So this solution here is going to constantly ask for any new updates and then learn about the updates and automatically instruct the other engine, which happens to be Microsoft Server, to take care of the rest. And there we will have an automation and like automatic account creation and authorization based on the policies that are already hard-coded and are in place. When the identity is created, there is also one-to-one mapping to the data stored on the ERP database, that is going to be the one-time identity that is able to access all the resources. As you see, we have Salesforce, or a wireless network that you might have, or other stored cloud-powered softwares such as Office 365, or other resources such as a computer network or what have you. And when they're leaving the institution, HR is going to mark them as disabled, and as you can see, the account is going to be marked disabled, and the identity and access management, you can refer to it as a middleware, but it's more like its own entity is going to grab that information and take actions on that. On behalf of the Group G Carla, Jeffrey, Ryan, and myself, I wanted to thank you, Professor Bradford, for the opportunity. And we certainly look forward to your valuable feedback for this assignment. Take care. Bye-bye.